everybody? Aiden here, and welcome into today's episode of Around the Slice. So, I know that this is obviously a Buffalo Bills centric podcast, but heading into free agency, heading into the offseason every single year, I always like to look at what other rivals surrounding the Buffalo Bills versus themselves are doing. I always like to check in, if you will, and check in with the Bills' biggest rivals and seeing how they're set up for the 2026 NFL season. So that's exactly what we're doing today. I'm going to be giving you an official, unbiased, realistic 2026 NFL offseason preview for the Kansas City Chiefs, because we know the Chiefs and Buffalo Bills specifically have a ton of recent history over the last 4 or 5 years or so, give or take. So let's jump headfirst right into it. Where do the Kansas City Chiefs sit in terms of cap flexibility and contracts? Well, this offseason, just to put it bluntly, guys, they're going to be in cap space hell. They have a lot, I tell you, of work to do, because right now, according to Spot Track, they sit at negative $58 million. They are $58 million over the cap. They're going to have to pull a bunch of levers through cuts and restructures. Speaking of cuts and restructures, let me lay out those moves for you now. First and foremost, this one's very straightforward. By cutting Jawaan Taylor, you save $20 million against the set in cap space specifically, and a $7.4 million dead cap hit. If I'm the Chiefs, if I'm Brett Veach, I could give a less shit about the dead cap hit, $7.4 million. $20 million cleared. That is a significant number for a contract, to put it candidly and bluntly, has been horrendous. It was a lot of money when Jawaan Taylor signed the deal, and now it looks horrible. The guy just cannot function. I don't care if it opens a huge hole at right tackle. He leads the league in penalties every single year, whether it's false starts, illegal alignment, or sometimes, a lot of the times during games, both. He even gets away with quite a few penalties, if you will, that the refs do not call, or they just see and don't bother calling. So very, very cut and dry. Next, this guy's been a good rotational edge rusher for them, but I think it's time to move on and revamp the whole edge rush group surrounding next to George Karlaftis, if you will. Cutting Mike Dana would, and for these going forward, I apologize, I do not have dead cap numbers. I'm not a capologist, if you will, or any shit like that, but cutting Mike Dana saves you $8.5 million in cap space. He's been a good, reliable rotational guy, but he's been around a while. It's time to revamp the edge rush group for all intents and purposes, revamp it around George Karlaftis. Next, these next two guys, I would be very shocked, even surprised necessarily, if the Chiefs actually chose to cut and move on from these two players in particular. But this is an unbiased, realistic preview of the offseason, coming weeks and months and what have you, specifically and mainly. So I just want to lay all options out on the table. If it happens or not, I don't care. If they cut linebacker Drew Tranquil, that saves $6 million in cap space. $6 million in cap space cleared. This is a very feasible, easy contract, realistic contract, if you will, per se, to get out of, because it's $6 million as a non-guaranteed salary if they move on for 2026 next year. But they value Drew Tranquil, and we'll talk about a couple linebackers later on, but they're going to have quite a bit of transition at their linebacker group. Little tease, foreshadowing there for you all, but yeah, that's not going to happen. And then if you cut tight end Noah Gray, that saves $4 million in cap space cleared. Could this happen as a post-June 1st, June, July, right before training camp, trade partner, whatever? Sure, but even then, I don't think so. They value Noah Gray as a blocker. They value him as a special teamer. And Travis Kelce is going to move on in the next year or two. At least, God, I hope so. It's not like Noah Gray's your tight end of the future, but as a tight end too, he's pretty damn good across the league. So I'm not expecting those two to happen. And then 2 free agent contracts last year with, let's just be honest, were outright flops. At first glance, you might think Aiden, time to cut ties and move on. But there's a lot more nuance to it than that. If you were to cut slot corner Christian Fulton, an offensive line, like guard and tackle Jalen Moore, you would save it to clear a combined between the two $12.9 million in cap space. But since they were both of them respectively were just free agent signings just a year ago this time, they would come with a lot of dead cap, and the Chiefs would have to pay them to play for another team. That would be very, very stupid. So, yes, they're flops of contracts, but you're kind of stuck with it. Maybe Christian Fulton can bounce back in the slot, or maybe he can just be a serviceable depth player for you at worst. So, yeah. And then a few restructures. First, this is obvious, a very easy lever to pull. If you restructure Patrick Mahomes, that clears a whopping $44.4 million in cap space. Real quick, restructures aren't as digestible for GMs as fans make them out to be. Fans want to restructure every single player. Quick synopsis: restructure is not a pay cut. Restructure is you're converting a player's base salary into a signing bonus, and you push the cap charges down the line. So you clear cap space now, but you'll have additional cap charges in the future, whether on or off the team. And it's not ideal because you don't want to pay more in the future. Restructures should and are, for the most part, reserved for players that you have no questions about that are cemented in your future plans. You do that with Patrick Mahomes, clears $44.4 million. Now, I would not advocate for this because I had some questions about the future with Chris Jones, but if you restructure defensive tackle Chris Jones, that clears another whopping $22.5 million in cap space. If you restructure starting right guard Trey Smith, again, very easy lever to pull. No questions about his future fit with the team. That clears an additional $12.5 million in cap space cleared. And then lastly, another stud, arguably the best center in the league, at least. If you restructure center Creed Humphrey, you've saved $8.9 million in cap space cleared. So again, negative $58 million, cap space hell. But through the 9 moves I just mentioned, they can clear a lot of space. So, yeah. Next, these are my top 5 moves heading into free agency next month, in my personal opinion, for the Kansas City Chiefs. Number 1, no debate, by far, is running back. The Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco, slow-ass duo, inefficient as hell duo, less than 4 yards per carry duo, is overstayed its welcome. You need an explosive Belko type back in your offense. Whether that's drafting a guy like Jeremiah Love at number 9 overall, or signing the many free agents out there like Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall, you can manipulate the cap to do that. Just upgrade over the duo you've been having. Number 2, defensive tackle. Number 1, I have questions about Chris Jones' future, but outside of Chris Jones, you have nothing. They have quite a few defensive tackles that are free agents, which we'll get to. But even if they bring a guy or 2 back, there's nothing dynamic there. There's nothing exciting. There's nothing young. There's no youth, infusion, and talent there. Number 3, offensive line. Very easy. They're going to cut right tackle Jawan Taylor, save the $20 million, and only have a $7.4 million dead cap. But for Artie, so you'll have a hole at right tackle, and then you've been having a hole at left guard because you need severely the upgrade over Kingsley Suamataia, and Mike Caliendo just cannot function there. Number 4, wide receiver. And it's a very specific type of wide receiver. You need a true big body X possession style receiver. Enough with mucking around and effing around with these sub 6 foot, sub 190 pound dudes. You have those in Rashee Rice. You have those in Xavier Worthy. You need a true big body X possession style receiver who you can throw it up to and go get it in contested catch situations. And then number 5, I have defensive end. I explained my desire, if I were Brett Veach and the Chiefs, to want to revamp the pass rush group, defensive end room, if you will, around George Karlaftis and build that up for the future from the ground up, if you will. Next, internal free agents. So The bad news, the Kansas City Chiefs have a whopping 23 UFAs, 23 unrestricted free agents. The good news, there's only a few even notable guys, and it's not daunting in the least. This is in no order of importance or likelihood of re-signing or any of that. So how these are going to be formatted, I'm going to give you the name and position of the player, obviously, the age of the player as of September 3rd, 2026, so the start of next season specifically. I'm going to give you what contract they previously just came off of and just expired in their previous AAV, average annual salary value, and then the spot check salary projection for the new contract and my unbiased realistic prediction. First, tight end, Travis Kelce, obviously 36 years old. Now, I would not come back, but by all counts, it sounds like he is coming back. Again, I would have retired a year or two ago at this point. He doesn't really run. Actually, I know for a fact he doesn't run routes anymore. Just watch him. Like, he's not dynamic or separate at all. He just goes out there, breaks the huddle, runs 5 yards, turns around, catches the ball, falls down. There's nothing dynamic about him anymore. He's not a good route runner at all anymore. But previous AAV, $17.1 million. Obviously, to come back for another year, you still have to technically re-sign him. And Spot Check says that they can re-sign him for $10.8 million a year. But their cap situation, that's a lot. If he wants to come back, you give him $6, maybe $7 million for 1 year. They're doing a courtesy to him after all for letting him come back. My prediction is he does re-sign. As much as I think he should retire, a prediction is a whole different game, if you will. I think he will come back, unfortunately. Next, Hollywood Brown, wide receiver, 29 years old. So I would have swore he was in his early 30s at this point, the way people talk about him, but he's still mucking around the league. He's still 29 years old somehow. Previous AAV, $7 million, and apparently even that was too much in the single digits for Hollywood. Spot check salary projection, $5.5 million per year. That's a tad too much. I'd give him $3, maybe $4 million per year. But ultimately, my official prediction is he does go somewhere else. Hollywood Brown, technically a downfield X receiver. You need a severe upgrade over that, whether it's the draft or free agency. I said my desire for that. You need to revamp the whole outside wide receiver room. You have Rashee Rice, you have Xavier Worthy, and then the whole depth of the room needs to be revamped to its core from the ground up. Next, Charles Omenihu, defensive end. Long-time staple, just like Mike Dana. Mike Dana will most likely 99.9% sure be cut. And then Charles Omenihu, free agent, 29 years old. Previous AAV, $4 million. For a decent enough rotational pass rusher, that's not bad. Spot track projection, $3.5 million per year. I think that's fine. 3.5, maybe 4 again, if you can find the right fit. My prediction is, ultimately, though, I think you've done enough with Charles Omenihu. Sure, going to be a decent type pass rusher, but through cutting Mike Dana, through letting and moving on from letting Charles Omenihu specifically mainly walk in free agency, the whole room needs to be revamped surrounding outside of George Karlaftis. Next, this guy's actually interesting. I've been a fan of him as a high upside tools guy. Linebacker Jack Conklin, 27 years old. Previous AAV, $2.1 million. So pretty decent, pretty feasible for a depth type linebacker with upside. Patrick Zay projection, $2.1 million per year again. I think he's been a special teams ace, and he's filled in admirably when any of the top 3 linebackers have been hurt in the past. My prediction is he resigns. I think they're going to have a lot of transition at linebacker, but you know that Andy Reid and Dave Tube, the special teams coordinator and company, value special teams at a very high level. They're one of the best kick and punt coverage special teams unit in the league year in and year out, much to my chagrin every single year. Jack Conklin, big ace of that. My prediction is he resigns. Najee Johnson, technically in Spot Track, they list him as a corner or cornerback, but he plays outside corner. He can play slot corner. He can play either safety, but he's pretty underwhelming and pretty bad at all 3 spots, if I'm being honest. So he has versatility technically, but you never want him to actually play on defense. Just like Jack Conklin, although more defensive experience, special teams ace, 28 years old. Previous AAV, $1.9 million rather. Spot check salary projection, $1.2 million per year. So pretty much the vet minimum. My prediction is he does re-sign. Basically, it's just Jack Conklin, but more defensive experience than him. Next, boy, this guy's still mucking around, huh? From my favorite diehard college football team, Notre Dame. Hashtag go Irish. Golden Domers. Anyway, moving on. Jared Tillery, defensive tackle, 29 years old. Previous AV, 1.8 million. Betcheck salary projection, 2.9 million. Don't ask me how he got a whole $1 million raise. I'd pay him 1.5 over for that, maybe 2 million. So this wouldn't be about money per se. This would just be about getting better, getting actual talent and youth in that room. My prediction is Jerry Tillery goes somewhere else. I've never really liked Jerry Tillery. He's kind of a tweener. He can play on the edge. He can play on the inside. And he's a bad tweener. So, yeah. Next, very cut and dry. James Winchester, long snapper, 37 years old. Previous AV, 1.7 million. Spot check salary projection, not available, NA, but give him 1.5, 2 million. Keep rolling with your long snapper. My prediction is he absolutely resigns. Next, Kareem Hunt, running back. Boy, I'll get to it. 31 years old. Previous AAV, 1.5 million. Spot check salary projection, 1.9 million. 1.5, 2 million, right around the range. So what I want to happen from a fan perspective and what I think will happen with Brett Veach and Andy Reid, two totally separate things. I want them to move on from Kareem Hunt unbiased so bad. Enough is enough with the running backs that average less than 4 yards per carry, aren't explosive in the least. But this is a tried and true Andy Reid special with Kareem Hunt. So the Brett Veach and company will re-sign him because he's good in short yardage and a good goal line back. God forbid we ever get explosiveness in there. God forbid we average more than 4 yards per carry. No. This is the Andy Reid pet project at its finest with Kareem Hunt. Mini rant over. This is significant. Brian Cook, safety, who I've been a huge fan of. 26 years old. Previous AV rookie contract, 1.5 million. Spot check salary projection, 14.2 million. The way the safety market's been booming the last few years, give or take. 2 or 3 years, give or take. I think 13, 14 is right around the range of him. But the Chiefs, historically, do not pay defensive backs. They know when to move on and how to move on from defensive backs, whether it's trading away Tyrann Mathieu, trading away Rashad Fenton, trading away L'Jarius Sneed, moving Trent McDuffie from slot corner to outside corner. They know how to utilize versatility, and they just don't pay DBs. But they have succession plans at safety. They have Jaden Hicks. They'll need to sign a veteran, but Spags can figure it out with his very blitz, man, aggressive defense, heavy defense, rather. So my official prediction for Brian Cook, is he goes somewhere else. Next, Derek Nottie, defensive tackle. This has got to be over, right? 30 years old, previous AAV, 1.4 million, spot check salary projection, 1.2 million. Another Andy Reid special. Just the defensive version of Kareem Hunt. Not exciting in the least. 30 plus years old at this point. God forbid we get youth and talent in there next to Chris Jones, albeit Chris Jones kind of worried about his future outlook for sure, but this is the defensive Andy Reid pet project, so predictably he resigns. I would be very mad, though, as a Chiefs fan. Next, just like with Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, wide receiver, Juju Smith-Schuster, still only 29 years old for as long as he's been in the league, but previous AV, 1.4 million, Patrick salary projection, 2.2 million. Once again, this is not about money, just like the Jared Tillery thing. It's time to go. You can't bring back every one of your buddies. You can't bring back every single Andy Reid pet project in the world. Behind Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, I'll pound it. I'll keep saying it over and over till I die. They need to upgrade the depth of this wide receiver room. You have Rashee Rice, you have Xavier Worthy. Everyone else, okay, don't let Doherty on the way out. We're good. We can move on. So my official prediction is he goes somewhere else. Juju. That's another one, just like Brian Cook, who's been an awesome rookie contract find for them. Leo Chenal, linebacker Leo Chenal, still only 25 years old. Previous AAV of the rookie contract, 1.3 million per year. Spot check salary projection, 4.8 million per year. 4.6 million per year. I think they're kind of underselling that. I think he gets $7, maybe $8 million in the open market. There's a specific team that my flags are behind me in Western New York that could use a linebacker. Wink, wink. Just saying. And I'm not being biased here just because I want him for the Bills, rather, specifically, mainly. But I think he does go somewhere else. The Chiefs just don't pay defenders historically, specifically DBs and linebackers, as I just explained. Excuse me. They have Drew Tranquil and they have Nick Bolton. That's a star duo for them. They feel. I do too. They're going to re-sign Jack Conklin for the special teams a special teams elite upside and work in here and there. I think between Jack Conklin and Jeffrey Bassa going in the second year from Oregon as an early day 3 pick, they have their third linebacker replacement. You know how much Spags loves historically to run 3 linebacker sets. So you got Bolton, you got Tranquil, and then between Jeffrey Bassa and Jack Conklin, you can figure that shit out at some point. So Leo Chenal goes somewhere else. Next, Mike Pennell. This is the same shit with Derek Nottie, just an older version, much older version. 35 years old, previous AAV 1.3 million, vet minimum salary, spot check protection 1.8 million. A lot of these aren't having to do with money, but it's you gotta revamp. You're already bringing back one defensive pet project guy, one defensive Andy Reid pet project for all. For God's sake, and Derek Nottie, you gotta let Mike Pennell go. You can't be attached to every single freaking person in the world. You gotta go. That's overstayed your welcome. And then a guy that's like a depth tight end 3/practice squad caliber veteran at this point of his career. Oh, they had that one great year at the Packers and then fell off the face of the earth. Don't ask me how that worked out, but he did. Tight end Robert Tonyan, 32 years old at this point. Previous AAV of 1.3 million. Spot check salary projection of 1.5 million per year. It's time to find your tight end of the future. You have Noah Gray. You have Travis Kelce. They've thrown darts at it. They've thrown day 3 darts at it historically, like a Jake Brenningstool last year, like that dude from TCU a couple years ago, Jared Wiley. There you go. Jared Wiley a couple years ago. They've thrown day 3 darts, but it's time to get serious for your tight end of the future. I'm eyeing Kenyon Sadiq and number 9 overall, but that's a draft conversation for another day, for another episode specifically. Right now, you got to let Robert Tonyan walk. You got to let these depth tight ends walk. You can't keep throwing darts and then missing shit over and over. It's time to invest heavily in the future tight end spot, and you got to face a lot of these guys out. Next, Deion Bush, safety. So he is 33 years old. Previous AV, 1.3 million. Spot check salary projection, NA. Every team in the NFL, whether people like it or not, whether they try to tell you or not, every team has one of these people. They have players that are technically wide receivers, technically safeties, technically this, technically that position. That are strictly just special teams purpose, this guy. And Deion Bush at 32 years old is 1,000% through and through just a special teamer for the Chiefs. So he re-signed knowing how much they value special team. This is an underrated one. Gardner Minshew, quarterback QB Gardner Minshew, 30 years old, previous AAV 1.2 million, spot check salary projection not available. I would assume it's very cheap. Everyone is so confident right now that Patrick Mahomes will be fine. Patrick Mahomes will be ready for week 1. If he says he's going to be ready, God damn it, well, damn it, he's going to be ready. I will be shocked if he's ready for week 1. Guys, walk back with me here. He's going to be 31 years old in September. He tore his ACL in December. No, wait. He tore his ACL at the end of November / early December. In what world is he going to be ready for week 1? So at the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, at minimum, he's going to be on the PUP list, and the Chiefs need a big bounce back year to be playoff / Super Bowl contenders, got in their mind and eyes, but Andy Reid and Brett Veach and company over there, Kansas City. They need a bridge QB for the first 4 or 5 weeks, and I think Gardner Minshew fits that perfectly. In fact, if you saw my video last week where I predicted the all 32 NFL starting QBs for week 1 next year, I looked ahead and picked Gardner Minshew for the Kansas City Chiefs. First 4 or 5 weeks, we can get by with Gardner Minshew. My prediction is he re-signed for that. Next, safety Mike Edwards. 32 years old, previous AAV 1.2 million, spot check salary projection not available. I would assume it's very cheap. Gardner Minshew, quarterback QB Gardner Minshew, 30 years old, previous AAV 1.2 million, spot check salary projection not available. Next, safety Mike Edwards. This guy's just completely underwhelming. 30 years old, previous AAV 1.2 million, Spatrick sale projection 1.2 million per year. My prediction is he goes somewhere else officially. He has to. He's technically depth, I guess. But as a 30-year-old depth safety, you have to be able to be okay at safety. He's not. You have to be able to at least contribute to some extent on special teams. He doesn't. So a 30-year-old depth safety who isn't good at special teams at all and isn't good at his actual position of safety at all, what the hell's the point? Moving along. Ty, Quan, Thornton, wide receiver. So, but I'll get to that. 26 years old, previous AAV of 1.1 million, spot check sale projection of 2.8 million. Maybe per year. Maybe you could make the argument that you do resign him just because you don't want total turnover for the depth receivers. And I'll be honest with you guys, like this is just Aiden's opinion here, my opinion here. Between Juju Smith-Schuster, Hollywood Brown, and Tyquan Thornton by far is the one I actually considered bringing back between the three. But ultimately, I think my official prediction is he should and will ultimately officially end up going somewhere else. I think Brett Veach agrees with me where the whole depth wide receiver room outside of the top two of Rice and Worthy, of course, has to be built back from the ground up, if you will. Next, guy I've barely ever heard of, Janaris Robinson, defensive end. Practice squad caliber defensive pass rusher guy. 28 years old, previous AV of 1.1 million, so literally off the street vet minimum. Patrick sale projection of 1.8 million per year. My prediction is he goes somewhere else. I've never even really heard of him, so it's not really worth even talking about, in my opinion. Next, this one's intriguing, especially since the rookie year he had and then got totally phased out, but in Houston and the Texans, Dameon Pierce, running back, 25 years old still, so only 25 still. Previous AAV of 1.1 million. Spot check sale projection NA. Who the hell cares if you bring this guy back or not? He's not going to cost any. I'm in favor of re-signing him. I'm in favor of having him compete for a running back room that's going to be in transition for sure. As an RB3 / potential practice squad candidate, I think Dameon Pierce is damn intriguing. I'm going to say, guys, bring him back. Next, corner Josh Williams. Pretty decent depth corner for them. That's a surprising amount of starting experience as an injury or performance fill in here and there when needed, rather. 26 years old, previous AAV of 1 million, spot check sale projection, NA, whatever, 2 to 3 million, fine. That's my prediction. Ultimately, though, they have Trent McDuffie, who I think they sorely need to move back to the slot. They have Noah Williams at one corner spot. And then at the other corner spot, they'll probably figure it out between Najee Johnson, between Shamari Connor, maybe draft some guy in day 3. The Chiefs are masters of hitting on underrated, underwhelming the other teams day 3 corners. They're going to do that again. They're going to let Josh Williams walk. Because of it, they just transition DBs all the time, it feels like, and they always hit on day 3 guys. Speaking of a DB, a corner in particular, corner Jalen Watson, 27 years old. He's gotten better and better every single year, which is the good thing. Previous AV, 936,000. No surprise, former 7th-round pick. Spot check sales projection, 12.5 million per year. I think 11 to 13, somewhere in that range, maybe in the middle, 12.5 would be great. My prediction is he ultimately goes somewhere else. I think you drafted Noah Williams just for this reason, so you have the succession plan in place there. Next, oh boy, this is one where I've been on quite the journey with. His first year I liked him, and then now I think he sucks. Isaiah Pacheco, running back, just to put it candidly. 27 years old, previous AV, 7th-round pick at the Rutgers 4 years ago, 936,000. Spot check salary projection, 4.3 million. 4, maybe 5 million a year. Who the hell cares? Because I think he sucks. His days of being an RB1 for the Chiefs or any other team are over, especially the Chiefs. My prediction is he goes somewhere else. We can't have 2 inefficient, unathletic as hell Kareem Hunts. We already have one of those in Kareem Hunt himself. We already have one of those Andy Reid pet projects in Kareem Hunt himself. We can't be having 2 Kareem Hunts. We can't be having two Andy Reid pet projects at the same position, especially at running back. Okay, so again, a few notable guys, but 23 UFAs, 23 unrestricted free agents in particular, specifically. Nothing overly daunting, I'd say. We got some restricted free agents that are more than likely, for all intents and purposes, back with the Chiefs in 2026. Exclusive rights free agent linebacker Cole Christensen, 29 years old, practice squad guy with special teams upside. Exclusive rights, you either play football, you either play for the current team, or you don't play football. That's simple. That's how that works. Next, a restricted free agent running back Keontae Ingram, 26 years old. Bring him back into the fold. Have him compete with Dameon Pierce for a premier practice squad spot at the running back position. The practice squad spot at the running back position. Actually, I'm in favor of Pierce, but why not bring back both Pierce and then the restricted free agent here I'm just trying to give it a shot, in Keontae Ingram. Next, after Ingram, I lost my spot. Next, after Ingram, restricted free agent guard Mike Caliendo, 28 years old. He can't play, he can't function, but as a swing interior guy at both guard spots, he's at least fine, I'd say. His depth. Corner Eric Scott Jr. Again, they're going to let Josh Williams walk in my prediction here. They're going to let Jalen Watson walk in my prediction here. Maybe he can make the 53 push for it with corner Eric Scott Jr., 27 years old. Punter Matt Ariza, all-pro caliber punter, 26 years old. He'll be back in the fold. Why don't you be Nico Remigio? They really like him. He doesn't play offense like at all. But they like him as a punt and kick returner specifically, and I do too. So back in the fold, 26 years old. Priority of free agents, I would want Brett Veach and the Chiefs. This was hard to make. Not because there's any hard decisions of guys being left off and on and whatnot. There's only 8 guys here that I really care about bringing back. And past the top 2 or 3, who gives a shit, if I'm being honest. Number 1, by far, safety Brian Cook. They just don't pay DBs. This is not considering contract, age, anything. This is just considering talent and on paper, would I want them back or not in order. Number 1, safety Brian Cook. Number 2, corner Josh Williams. He's a very decent depth player with a surprising amount of starting experience and upside still. Number 3, QB Gardner Minshew. Again, first 4 or 5 weeks, Mahomes very likely on PUP list. They'll need Minshew. Number 4, corner Najee Johnson, a guy that can play slot corner, outside corner, and safety, but not particularly good or even decent in any of them, just special teams ace. Number 5, linebacker Jack Conklin, special teams ace, but I think with them very, very likely losing Leo Chenal, between him and Jeffrey Bassa, they can be the third linebackers with how much Spags freaking loves to run 3 linebacker sets. Number 6, long snapper James Winchester. Keep that continuity, I guess. Number 7, safety Deon Bush. Every NFL team has one of these. Technically a safety, but he's a 33-year-old special teams ace only. Number 8, running back Dameon Pierce. Again, RB3 / practice squad upside. That for a running back room that's going to be revamped, and in all honesty needs to be revamped specifically. Yeah, hell, who cares? Bring back Dameon Pierce to fight for a RB3 or as the practice squad spot at minimum. Anyways, guys, that is my that is my unbiased, realistic 2026 NFL offseason preview for the Kansas City Chiefs. We will be returning with the rest of the AFC East and division rivals for the Buffalo Bills. And next week, it pains me to say it, but next week we'll be doing the AFC East division winners and Super Bowl runner-up New England Patriots. Same format as today's episode. Anyways, you guys can follow me on Twitter at aWeingartner13 and you can follow the show on Twitter at Around Slice. We talk over there all the time. You can, of course, watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever your preferred platform of choice is. We're on all of them, and I greatly appreciate the support by any means necessary. And yeah, great episode, great content coming up. It's going to be awesome. My favorite time of the year for a reason. I love roster building. I love player additions, player subtractions, all of it. Thank you guys for the support as always. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you on the next one next week. Goodbye.